Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Tom LaHue, and today we're going to be talking about the sin of Enneagram Type 9. We're going to talk about the sin of sloth and how it might show up in your life and in your relationships and create all kinds of problems for you and make things challenging for you. We're also going to talk about what to do to kind of challenge this sin and push back against it. We know the Enneagram Type 9s are called the peacemakers, the mediators, the negotiators, the advisors, the referees, the dreamers. There's lots of different titles for type 9. Before we get into this content, just a reminder, in the description below is a link to my website, tomlahue.com, where I do offer Enneagram and relationship coaching. So life coaching and relationship coaching based on the Enneagram. And you can pick from a single appointment where we can just kind of get to meet each other and talk about some specific problem in your life or figure out what your Enneagram type is, all the way up to 3 weeks, 6 weeks, and 12-week, my present to life coaching program designed specifically around you and your unique personality, so that you can live the best life and the happiest life possible. Also, I have a lot of different classes coming up, Zoom classes live, and then I have a nice library of on-demand classes and courses with certificates at the end of them, related to the Enneagram and other topics related to this, all designed to help you have the best life. So if you're struggling in your relationships and you feel like you've lost that connection that you used to have, you're still going through the motions, or you're struggling with knowing your purpose in life and feeling very demotivated, please reach out to me. I would love to work with you. Now, this information I have available for you on my store tab. I've got a notebook designed just for you, called Shadows of the Soul. And it lists each of these sins of every type, all 9 of them, and it's a free download for you. All you got to do is go to the store tab and download the ebook Shadows of the Soul, and you'll have the same notes that I'm looking at here today. So let's talk about type 9s. I'm going to be looking at my notes while I talk to you so that I stay on point and stay on task. So Enneagram type 9s are called the peacemakers or the mediators, and they're often characterized by their easygoing, accommodating nature and a deep desire for inner and outer peace. Now, granted, 9-wing 8s might be a little bit more likely to push back than a 9-wing 1, chances are, unless a 9-wing 1 is under a lot of stress. But all 9s long for and strive for peace, harmony, comfort, and tranquility. Now, sometimes that desire for comfort might be stronger than their desire for peace. So maybe keeping peace in their environment may be more important to them at times than peace in their relationships. But all 9s kind of lose themselves to the simple comforts of life, to the groups that they belong to, or to the dominant relationships. And, that's important that we understand that as we dive into type 9s. So 9s seek harmony in their relationships. And when they can't get that harmony or that peace in their relationships, you might see them withdraw, sort of escape those kind of difficult, problematic relationships in order to just maintain their own personal harmony. It's kind of like, well, if I can't have a great life, at least I can have an okay life. I'm okay with okay. And if I can't have peace in my relationships, then maybe I'll withdraw and just maintain my own personal peace and comfort. So sometimes going to great lengths in order to avoid conflict and maintain a sense of calm. They're typically supportive and reassuring people that tend to be agreeable, valuing unity and avoiding anything that might disrupt the peace of the environment around them or their personal peace. And so, in the words of Isaac Newton, tact is the knack of making a point without making an enemy. And 9s often are really good at this. They tend to value other people's perspectives and the ability to try to say things and do things in a way that don't rock the boat or create problems around them. The core sin of type 9s is called sloth. And it may show up at times like laziness, just literally like laying on a couch, watching one show after another, eating too much, losing motivation, losing drive, losing direction. It could very well look like, Uncle Bob sleeping in the corner during the family reunion. It could show up like that, but it doesn't always show up as laziness. Rather, this sloth tends to refer to an emotional sloth or a resistance to fully engaging in their own life, in their own relationships, in their own desires, and not really fully showing up to own their space or own their environment or own their decisions. So this sloth may manifest as a tendency to disengage or minimize their own wants or needs. And, if I don't need anything, then everything's fine. I can be very content. And nines often are very content people, which is good. The rest of us could learn to be more content. But sometimes this contentment in your life can bring about, a paralyzing inertia or gravity that keeps you from being able to know what you want going forward and moving forward with any kind of real purpose or direction. And so, sort of staying in your comfort zone or staying in the status quo, avoiding confrontation, avoiding change, and a kind of self-neglect or a self-forgetting. A deep-seated fear of loss or of a relationship or of separation. The fear of a nine is understood as fragmentation. And you might say, what is fragmentation? Well, it could mean a few things, I guess, like fragmented relationships. But just think of like working in a office environment or maybe working in a restaurant or something like that, where everybody's upset with one another. Well, the manager's being a baby and childish and complaining about everybody and stomps away, and everybody's, upset with one another, and everybody's blaming each other, and nobody's really working together. There's no real harmony. There's no real systematic function in that office or in that kitchen or whatever environment it is. Everybody's upset with one another, and everybody's fragmented off into their own perspective and not able to harmonize or see the perspectives of one another. That is a good definition of what this fragmentation is. So nines tend to prioritize peace and comfort, sometimes at the cost of their own personal growth or authenticity. Type nines may find themselves drifting along with other people's plans and desires, sort of neglecting their own passion, not even maybe knowing what they're passionate about. You might ask them, what are you excited about? Or what are you passionate about? Or what do you hope to see in your life going forward? Or what do you want to do with your life? Only to get kind of a blank stare and some confusion and some confused looks on the nine's face. This struggle could be called inertia. The animal for a nine is an elephant or a whale. And think when they sit down, it's really hard to get them moving again. When they get up and start moving, they can keep going for 30 years in a long, plodding kind of direction. But sometimes once they get stuck, their dominant person moves away or they change their environment or change their job. You might see that nine struggling to find the energy to move forward. So it's difficult to start new projects and make significant life changes. Doing that might upset your own peace and comfort or the balance of peace and comfort in your environment that you cherish. And this could all lead to a sense of unfulfillment or a realization that you've kind of been asleep to your own life. All of us can be kind of zombies at times, but nobody personifies this more than maybe type nines. And it's a very startling thing when nines are challenged with the Enneagram and they hear this kind of information. They might kind of have that oh crap moment like, oh my goodness, like what has happened? Why do I live here? Why am I married to this person? Why do I do this job? How did I get here? I don't feel like I've been in charge of my own life. I feel like other people have been making decisions for me. And they will realize if you don't have a clear agenda for your life, other people will provide that for you. And that may feel easier to you at times. Like, just tell me what you want me to do. Like, I wish God would just open up the sky. I would see a sign that would make it clear what I'm supposed to do next. Because trying to figure that out can be challenging, especially when your sin is sloth. It's like I try to go inward and hear what I want, but I as soon as I hear one point, I kind of hear the alternate point, and then I get so kind of overwhelmed and confused, I don't know what to do. I think about a great quote from a type 9 in television, Phoebe Buffay from Friends. You know, her quote that I like is the one where somebody asks her for help. They ask her to help move or something, and she says, "Oh, I wish I could, but I don't want to." I think that's kind of a good quote for a 9. So the term sloth of 9 doesn't always refer to physical laziness, but rather to a kind of emotional or mental inertia that type 9s can experience. It's a state where they may minimize their own presence or the impact that their life could have or is having in order to maintain peace, comfort, and harmony, and to reduce and avoid conflict, leading to sort of a passivity or a passiveness, a lack of engagement in your own life. And this is considered their deadly sin because it represents a significant barrier to moving forward and to engaging in and fully realizing your own life. Okay, so let's see here. What else do we have? I've got all kinds of notes, and sometimes I get lost in my own notes. Okay, what never to say. We're going to get to that. What never to say to a type 9, what to say to a type 9. So here's some characteristic of the sloth of type 9. Here's kind of like a list of 5 things. 1, an avoidance of conflict. You know, typically 9s don't like being in conflict. They don't like people being upset with them. They kind of lead with, "I'm sorry," you know, kind of statements, and tend to avoid conflict sometimes at all costs. Again, a 9 wing 8 may be a little more likely to engage in conflict, but, you know, avoiding necessary confrontations at times. You know, confrontations are not pleasant. I don't like them. I'm a 7 wing 6 and I get anxious and I don't like being, you know, having things upset. But sometimes conflict is unavoidable. And if you do avoid the conflict, you may be creating and generating more problems in your life than if you would just, you know, move toward that conflict and resolve these challenges in relationships. Imagine what it must be like if somebody's in a relationship with you and there are problems, and every time they try to address it, you say, "Oh no, everything's fine, everything's okay. I'm all right," but you quietly just kind of continue to withdraw away from the relationship. They can tell something's wrong, but we're not really admitting that and not able to then work through that problem. So when 9s can engage with conflict in a healthy way and not let their desire for comfort and for peace and harmony keep them from resolving tensions and conflict, look, it's going to lead to a lot more peaceful long-term relationships. Number 2 is minimizing your own desires. To keep peace, 9s often suppress or ignore their own desires and needs, which can lead them away from what they might truly want in life. If you were to sit down and think about, what do I really want in life? What do I really hope to achieve or accomplish? It may be difficult for you to come up with those things, at least in a quick way. And so what happens is sometimes other people, you know, you substitute other people's agendas for your own agenda. You know, because Uncle Billy wants you to work in the auto parts store, you just say, "Well, okay, I guess I'll do that." You know, or Mom thinks I'd make a great teacher, so I guess I'll do that. Or we come from a long line of, you know, whatever, restaurant owners, and so I guess I'll just work in the restaurant. And never really maybe taking the time to think through what you would enjoy in this life, what you want to give your life to. Number 3, this could lead to a certain level of indecisiveness or apprehension to making decisions, not feeling confident or sure about your decisions. When you try to keep everybody happy, there's a good chance that you're not going to end up happy. And so you may struggle with making decisions, particularly if that decision might create some kind of or generate some kind of hostility or conflict in your relationships. If this is going to upset somebody, then it may be difficult for you to move forward with that plan. And this could manifest as indecisiveness or procrastination, or let's just say this, I hate to say it, but let's say sometimes sneakiness. Sometimes 9s can be kind of sneaky, or we could perceive you as being sneaky because you don't want to say out loud what you're up to because you don't want to upset people, but you're going to move toward what you want to do, and maybe not be forthright in explaining what you're up to. So it could lead to indecisiveness, procrastination, and a certain level of sneakiness. And it's never like lying to people to impress them. It's more like not giving all the information because I don't want you to be upset. I don't want you to be mad at me. I don't want there to be a lot of conflict. Of course, when people find that out, they're prone to being upset with you for not being forthright and upfront. They're going to take that as dishonesty or guardedness. All right, number 4, a lack of initiative. So the sloth of type 9s could keep 9s from moving forward in life because you may not feel like you have enough information or enough energy to initiate activity or change in your life. This could lead to stalled personal growth or professional growth. You might prefer at times to remain comfortable in your routines rather than pursuing new opportunities or stepping out. You might feel like, that's not really me. I don't know that I can wear that label of CEO or executive, or I feel like an imposter in that role. And so it could keep you stuck in the status quo or stuck in your comfort zone. And then number 5 is disengagement. You know, a great word, a key word for 9s is learn to engage with yourself and learn to engage with the people around you and engage fully with your environment. So emotional and mental withdrawal is a common aspect for type 9s in their sloth. And this disengagement can be from your own life. Like not really engaged in your own marriage or in your own family or in your own work or in your own church involvement or attendance or whatever it is, whatever you're attending or wherever you show up in life. Are you fully engaged and fully present? And what you may realize is that you're not. You're there because other people expect you to be there. You're there because you don't want people to be mad at you. You're there because you don't know what else to do. And so not fully engaged in your responsibilities, not fully engaged in your relationships, sort of like a go along with others to get along with people without truly engaging in life. And so you might have a relationship where people are pushing on you. What do you think about this? Well, you got to have some opinion about this. Would you rather do it this way or that way? Would you rather go to Alaska or to Hawaii? And you keep giving these sort of it's fine responses like it doesn't matter, everything's okay, I'm good with whatever. And that makes you easy to get along with, at least temporarily. But, you know, if you're not fully showing up into your relationship, then are you really in a relationship? You know, who are they in a relationship with? Nobody wants to be in a relationship with a nameless, faceless robot. All right. So it's okay for you to be challenged to own your life and own your space and own your decisions and be able to say no to people. Sometimes you have to say no before you can really say yes. Sometimes you have to push back and say, you know, do I really want what I'm doing in life? Or have I just kind of fallen into a rut or fallen into a pattern? And this, you may be helped from talking to somebody about this, a therapist, a pastor. I'm available through my Enneagram coaching. I do a lot of this kind of work with 9s, clarifying their goals, and sometimes just keeping you accountable. You know, it's kind of like a diet. You make a decision once and for all that you're going to be the sort of person that's moving forward in life, that's going after some goals. Even though you could probably live without those goals, you decide that you want to be the kind of person that is moving forward and is on a trajectory of accomplishing and achieving and making your life better. And then sometimes you just need an accountability partner to go along this journey with you to help you live out that decision and that determination every day. I do a lot of that kind of work in my coaching. So overcoming this sloth, accountability could help. Also, self-reflection could be very important, like getting alone and truly withdrawing, sitting out there by a lake and asking yourself, you know, what do I really want? What am I not happy with in my life? Is there any ways in which my life could be better? How could I be more engaged at work? How can I be more engaged in my spiritual life? How can I be more engaged in my hobbies and interests, in my friendships and in my marriage? How can I show up more fully in these things? And you might really have to get away from everybody else's voice because they overwhelm your voice. You know, we remember the sin is sloth. So it can be challenging, you know, to struggle through and navigate through this murky, foggy inner voice to be able to hear clearly what you want in life. You know, and maybe even that's too strong. Instead of thinking, what do I want in life? you might find you get better results with, is there anything I could do that would make my life better? Is there anything I could do that could make my health better, that can make my job performance better, that can make my physical fitness or my physical health better? What could I do to take steps to dramatically improve my life? How can I make some small changes that could make a big difference going forward? It might be easier for you to frame it that way. Number two is a little bit of assertiveness training. Number one was self-reflection. Number two is assertiveness training. Realizing that you have this 8-wing for a reason, and I need to lean into that 8-wing, and I need to fully show up to my life. Like, I need to own my space and my voice. You know, your opinion matters, and your presence matters, and you should live like it does. You need to believe that first and say, okay, my opinion matters, my presence matters, and if I don't want something in my life, it's okay for me to say no. And if there's something that I do want, you know, I'm a human being and I have certain rights and certain responsibilities to show up fully. And if I don't want something, then I need to challenge myself to speak up for that. Or if I do want something, I need to challenge myself that it's okay to advocate for what I want or what would make my life better. So a little bit more assertiveness would probably be good for most 9s. Setting personal goals and clarifying those goals. And again, you may have to start moving toward the goal before you fully realize that you want that goal. It may be difficult for you sitting removed away from the goal to really get passionate about it. You might actually have to start moving toward it before you start to really resonate with that goal. So again, ask yourself, what would make my life better? And then start taking steps to move toward that. And as you move toward it, you may be surprised at how happy you are that you are taking this initiative and becoming the sort of person who's moving toward things in life. And then number 4, physical activity. It could just be useful for you to get in touch with the body, start exercising, maybe start taking walks or start punching a punching bag, walking on a treadmill, doing push-ups, jumping jacks, something that gets you back into your body. It could be like the meditative kinds of things like yoga or prayer or meditation. Those things could be very useful as well. And number 5, some mindfulness practices, because you may tend to check out in life. I would say for example, take a photo album. What's a photo album, right? Okay, go on your iPad and look at your old pictures from 5-10 years ago and just look at life from the past and think about how much has changed and realize that it's not going to be long before another 5 years is gone or another 10 years is gone. And, you know, your life is passing you by. And you want to get in touch with that so that it helps you be more present in the moment with your life right now, so that you fully show up in your life as it is. So awakening to your own worth, recognizing that engaging fully with life is the challenge for you. And this includes conflicts and difficulties and decisions. And all of this is truly essential if you're ever going to have any long-term peace and happiness. Sometimes 9s put their short-term peace and comfort ahead of their long-term peace and comfort. We all do this, but you see it often with 9s. And when you can start thinking about what would bring me financial peace, what would bring me physical peace, what would really bring me family or relationship peace, well, then I might have to do some challenging things right now, and I might have to lose my personal comfort right now so that I can ensure long-term peace and long-term harmony and long-term comfort in my life for the future. So confronting your tendency toward inertia or gravity, toward sloth, and asserting that it's okay that you have desires, and then taking action to start moving forward. You know, action is so important for you. Remember, you're a doing type, and your tendency is to do things to avoid doing what needs to be done. Your tendency is to fill your schedule with other things while avoiding what is most important in your life. So you really got to clarify these goals. You may need somebody to talk to work through this. Journaling, therapy, mediation, any of these kinds of things, advising. Learning to face conflict constructively rather than avoiding it. Building authentic relationships, checking in on the people that you care about. All of this can lead to a much deeper and fuller experience of peace, harmony, comfort, and tranquility. You know, at your best, you're bringing that into the world. You are a source of peace, harmony, comfort, and tranquility to the world. But in order to do that, you got to show up fully to life. You got to put other people's peace and harmony ahead of sometimes your own. And so rather than avoiding any kinds of problems or conflicts, you move toward them and say, you know what? It's my responsibility, or I take this as my responsibility to bring harmony into this group. And sometimes to settle people down and remind people that it's okay to have different perspectives, and that part of the goal here is that we learn to value each other while working to create a harmonious environment. And you are a great source of that. You bring that with you when you're healthy. When you're not so healthy, you just escape everything to try to maintain your own personal comfort and harmony. And if that's where you're at right now, look, you're not bad. You're not a bad person for doing that, but you may just need some encouragement and some help to get out of that status quo. You know, a boat is safer anchored in the port, but that's not really what boats were designed for, to just be anchored at port. They were designed to go out and explore. You know, they were designed to make a difference, to carry a precious cargo and freight from one part of the world to another. And you have this precious cargo. You have these gifts and these talents and these abilities and this wonderful personality that we'd all like to get to know. But, you know, you're not designed to just tie up to the port and play things safe. You know, a good Bible verse to challenge sloth is Proverbs 6:6-11. Go to the ant, you sluggard, and consider its ways and be wise. It has no commander. The ant has no overseer or ruler, yet it stores its provisions and gathers. And then listen to what he says. A little bit of sleep, a little bit of slumber, a little bit of folding of the hands to rest, and poverty comes over you like a thief, and scarcity like an armed bandit. And it's a warning, you know, that sometimes playing it safe can lead to an unsafe life for us. So things to never say to a type 9. You're too passive. You need to stand up for yourself. Stop being so lazy. You never have your own opinions. Why can't you make up your mind more quickly? You always let people walk all over you. You always let people interrupt you. You always let people... There's probably better ways to say these things than that. So here's some alternatives or some positive things you might try to say to your 9. I really appreciate your calm approach, but I'd love to know what you personally think about this. Why don't you take some time and get back to me and let me know how you feel about this? Or here's another one. When you're ready, let's discuss how you feel about this situation. You know, your viewpoint is important and I respect your opinion. All right, here's another one. It's great how you consider everyone's perspective. What solution do you think would work well? Or, I've noticed you tend to accommodate others a lot. It's okay to put your needs first sometimes. What do you need right now? So just remember, your voice is important. Your opinion matters. It's okay for you to have a different opinion than the people around you. And God has created you with a unique purpose. And don't be afraid to live that out. And don't wait for the sky to open and God to make that clear for you. Start moving forward, taking steps, moving forward in whatever you're interested in or whatever you start to feel passionate about, and let God kind of guide you as you're moving forward. Make the decision now that you're going to be the kind of person that's taking risks, that's taking bold actions, that's taking steps forward with an openness to a greater plan. But I'm going to start living as though my life matters. I'm going to start living as though I have a plan. Other people's advice is not necessarily the rule that you should live by. So 9s, we love you. I'm so grateful for the 9s in my life that bring me some balance and harmony and some peace, and who laugh at my jokes. And I really appreciate the 9s in my life. And I hope that you will hear this as a challenge, as an encouragement to fully show up to your life. And as always, be present to life. I'll see you next time.